Where are you?
I'm at a cafe. I have
At the, at the
net
school.
net no like near my place.
Mm. But your
I
background, you
have
change your back.
I just blurred it because last time I did like meeting like this, I got like really annoyed by the background. Like I start seeing people walking outside,
But
like
where are you?
at a cafe.
Ah, at cafe. I thought you said I at my place. I thought like, but I'm already have seen your place, and I just woke up also. I'm like, what?
Okay,
Maybe I'm still dreaming, and this is
the
another one.
dreaming
This is
practice.
another universe. Like, especially
So,
with lately, people speak so much of this possibility, and now I'm half sleepy. I'm like, wait, actually, this could be happening right now. You know, like having the reflection that I know I'm belonging to a different world, but this is the one where your house looks like this.
with people walking in the background. Anyways,
How are you?
I was actually like watching some videos on the hard drive,
What
and
about?
I found one of the, I don't know how we call it. It's like a practice, but when you're at the academy, we three did like some practices, and one of them was like building a party. Like in the back, in the corner, not in our space, the studio, but in like there's like a conference space or something, and we're like
Where?
setting up at the academy in Dortmund. Like Floor and I were working, and
Yeah,
you when you were there, like we did, three of us did like this. I don't know who suggested, maybe you, or
I think I
somehow it
suggested.
emerged. Yeah, that because the space is like really full, so we
Oh, I
decided to.
remember now. I remember like to build a party,
Yeah, 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 yeah. And it's just so
and
funny because
yeah,
yeah, yeah,
yeah.
because like in the background, like Flo and I were like setting up so many things, and you were like dancing in the in front of the camera. It's just so funny.
So it's so
And it's
much fun, man.
yeah.
It's so much fun. Yeah, yeah. I was thinking actually, I would like to maybe take this chat uh to underline this idea that we are genius.
Wait, what?
To underline the idea that we are genius and we are the best.
Of course.
Wait, let me. Oh my God, that's so funny. Um, just so you know, I think that my system is I'm having the how it's called the allergy season
Mm,
is starting for
mm,
me. So my system is really weird.
mm.
Like I have like almost like a pink eye coming, and just I feel my lungs and also myself is in overdrive. I can feel my body's like different places.
Yeah, it's been like
So
that for the last few weeks for me.
yeah,
Yeah, it's horrible.
it's so intense. But I don't remember a place that it was worse for me than when I was in the academy.
Oh.
Like I remember when I was there, like because I should be more reactive to certain trees.
Mm,
And from the previous place where in Dortmund, those days, I remember that, and I had just clusters.
so yeah, like it was
Clusters.
horrible for me too. Like I remember once, like also like Olivia was there, and I took medication and I just couldn't do anything. And I think in the dome I was just sitting, and like people are doing some things, but I was just like sitting still for like
Because you
with the
feel
timer.
sleepy
Yeah.
because of the sleepy because of the drug. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, I can't do anything. I just be there.
But I'm the best of myself being here.
Exactly. But
Mm,
also that
mm.
was like a lot of organization. So I was like, okay, I just be there. We are four of us, so whatever can happen.
Yeah, 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 yeah. But no, I think what I was like trying to like to propose is to talk is the okay. I'm being conscious now of this. Did you see of like the previous chat that we have that is uploaded? We have like I think 55 views.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, like
Yeah,
sometimes
this
like we have more views than
I have
usual.
like I was checking also like also a few days ago like 96 views. So
Huh.
that's not just three people, huh? And it's not me playing 96 times the video.
Right. It's
So
the yeah, like not
interesting.
the last one because
But
that
the
was like a few
one,
days ago, but the one like a week
the
ago
first
or
one that I
something.
have in APAS, no,
No, that
what?
one is just 13 views, but the one before is 96.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know why.
I mean, those are huge numbers around.
Yeah,
But yeah, I know it's true. It's like still it's 100 views. Even if somebody just click there, it's a yeah. I was just surprised that because I still was used to
mm.
just to see 735. I don't know 7.
There was one
Yeah.
that has 110 views from
Which one?
April 24th that you were double. You remember?
Oh, yes. Oh, wow. So, but there's actually is more related to the last ones, eh? Seems like that, no? It's more like the last ones.
I don't know. And also like I uploaded a tutorial which doesn't have many views, but maybe that also affects. I don't know.
No, it's
Like
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 this is
like
part of
Hydra
that.
Hydra tutorial. Yeah.
Of what exactly in Hydra?
Well, like how to make animations with Hydra.
Animations, like what you mean, like
More like
transitions
more
between.
like motion graphic.
Okay,
Yeah. Because in processing it's
interesting.
clear, you can do like rotate and you rotate things, but
Yeah,
in Hydra you have to do a
yeah,
little
yeah.
bit different.
Because the nature of Hydra is more like the opposite, to be more messy, no? So to
Yeah.
control is a bit more tricky. Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. It's easy to do like
yeah, yeah,
crazy feedback and saturation, but
yeah, yeah,
to
yeah, yeah. To
reduce is
have it
hard.
fully controlled. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's true.
yeah.
All right, yeah, nice. Um, so yeah, I
And where are you?
I I'm at home on the kitchen. Oh, but I told you, no, that I paint the kitchen.
Oh, wow. Yeah,
So it looks,
yeah. Because
and we took away the old thing that it was in top of the
the
fire.
stove.
I mean,
Okay.
the stove, yeah.
Ah,
So it looks nice now.
nice. Yeah, because like the camera was like facing up. It was like really abstract where you are. Yeah.
Where are you? I'm walking on the moon
And putting your flag.
before Elon Musk come. I'm in Mars actually. It's pink, you see? I arrive here before Elon Musk.
That's great.
I will declare hashtag BP.
He's at the Formula One, so he's not there
Ah, yeah?
yet. Yeah.
He's in Formula One. Is there today a pre?
It's at night, I think, because it's in Miami.
Miami pre.
Miami Grand Prix.
It's such a thing. I saw the. Have you seen the Netflix
The series?
series of the? Yeah,
No.
I think you should. I think you. I mean, maybe you won't like it. I don't know. But I start liking F1. I just watched one season and then I finished the 4 seasons. And then I
Yeah.
was waiting because they stopped in COVID, but then I came back after and yeah. So the
Huh.
last one that I saw was uh, 2021.
Okay.
Years.
But the
Yeah.
season from 2021 or the one released in
The season,
2021?
no, yeah, the season for 2020. No, actually 2022. No, that was the last. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. There's already the season from 2022.
Ah, okay. The
Yeah,
last game. Yeah,
yeah,
makes sense.
yeah. But wait, so
What are we talking about?
I propose to bring this topic of um at some point when we were discussing a little bit of who perhaps to invite as mentor in this project in Tallinn for Tallinn
Right.
mining application.
Yeah.
Then within one of the voice, because it was a small exchange with voice through voice messages, you mentioned something to change the narrative that we have, and I thought it was interesting.
Yeah.
That's what I was start. That's what I start saying that we're genius. Yeah, or underlining this. I would like if you can, if you remember what was it that you were trying to say.
Yeah. So basically, yeah, because I didn't really clarify that, right? So
Mhm.
the reason why I said it, because I think it was from Kate Sikio's presentation from the
Yeah,
live coding conference. So just like disclaimer, like I think that's really good summary of like where things are coming from, and you know, I don't actually remember what she was saying, but yeah, like William Forsythe and stuff like that, you know, basically because she works with dance and live coding specifically, but
yeah,
basically this idea notion of algorithm and those
yeah.
choreographers. What's the other one? With the with this 3D software for choreography.
I
Um,
don't know.
I forgot.
3D. I don't remember.
Like I think it's also like oh my gosh, I'm forgetting all these names. Mark Mark Downey is
Mark Downey,
probably
but
like related to that. Um, I forgot.
I don't think I don't think she mentioned that Mark Downey in her
No, but
presentation.
the one that he was, I think, also working with like this 3D software, like with a human figure, and you can choreograph in 3D,
Yeah.
like 3D
Anyway,
avatar. Anyway, so this like this kind of thing that always show up, right? And if you look at the history of dance and technology, but
mhm,
then like
yes.
I think this is, of course, we have to look at to into the history, but then this is also to me what limits the like this field of dance and technology, you know, especially like if you see these famous choreographers, white male choreographers hiring technicians to do something that's really not
But they don't know.
where we're
Yes,
going.
true.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Go on, go on. Yeah.
Yeah. So for example, like I don't know, like one reference I would say is would be like Annie, like she's been doing from like very different perspective. It's not algorithmic, but she does also algorithm inspired things too. And like yeah, we have to change the narrative somehow. It That's something I wanted to address in my thesis, which I
Yeah.
haven't fully done. I would say more like work in progress, but also like how we relate to these like references that are not mentioned often, or like how can we be the reference ourselves? That
So
becomes like this genius idea.
so then I remember then I ask you then what is our narrative? How would
That's a
you
question.
position or yeah, do you have what um is it like an open question or do you have some idea of what is our current narrative?
That's yeah, that's I would say open question, and I think it should remain open question. But definitely there are people who are doing interesting things. I'm not doing research these days, so that's something I should do. Um, but yeah, like definitely like what Annie's doing is something, and yeah, something to be referred. Also,
Mhm.
like because that's like to me this concrete example, and I know that there are things that we take from what she's doing, but maybe it's also interesting to outline or like to like just write down what specifically you take, you know.
Right. Cool. So yes, interesting what you're saying. So yesterday I was in this symposium with Chris Salter.
Okay.
Um, mm, and then I wouldn't say that it really struck me with the symposium in general with something. Yeah, there was not something. It was not a bad thing, but it was also
Mm,
no new information to me, to be honest.
okay.
Um, Especially because I guess I'm at the threshold where I'm trying to also situate in terms of history.
Mm,
Um, what is the problem? Um, so maybe actually I would like to share with you. Let me center.org, Asia combination desire. This one, for instance. I'll share this with you, and perhaps one you can also maybe uh, paste here. I just paste there. If
okay.
you want, maybe you can uh, open the link and share your screen if you want for
Yeah,
people.
that'll be nice thing to do.
Yeah,
If I can figure it out, share screen. Is this like so annoying that they make this share screen button stand out too much that you would actually ignore?
yes, that I can relate to that. Yeah. So this is
Oh,
so
but I
may-
have to restart. I think I have to restart Zoom to
but
do the
then it's
screen
okay.
sharing. Yeah,
Yeah. So
unless I do OBS magic.
no, just like maybe we can just post the link in when we upload the
Yeah,
video. There
will
are two
do.
links. So this is part of the postgraduate course that I'm taking on curatorial studies, um, which I was interested in following because they underline the idea of the shift of paradigm in curatorial studies
Mm,
brought by technology. So maybe I will just read this briefly. It's not a long text. So by 2005, postmodernism had outlived its usefulness as a theoretical concept for understanding the present time. Instead, others suggested network culture and metamodernism as new frameworks to understand a period in which the internet became central to everyday life, culture, and economy. By 2010, it was clear to thinkers interested in the subject that network culture will last a decade, after which a new constellation will take hold. This seminar sketches the technological outlines of the post-COVID era. All corporate models of network culture, characterized by the five most prominent global technology corporations: Facebook, Apple, Amazon, Netflix, and Google, are decaying. Cryptocurrencies are questioning and evaluated as we see the rapid rise of various forms of artificial intelligence that as yet have no capacity for inherent cognition, but uncannily predict the relationship of immediately adjacent or related elements. The seminar probes the consequences of these transformations, tracking how the very structure of networks transform political forms and discourses. The seminar asks, can a new political order be constructed around these shifting technological structures? Well, what will these new eras, markets, and economies look like? Okay, so this is one, and I will refer to the second one. Just give me a second. And this- so the second one is called Techne Beyond Monoculture, and the description goes. This seminar addresses an aspect of the critique of technology that tends to conflate what is derogatively called technoscientific rationality with the rationality of capitalism. Given the indispensable role of technology in addressing climate change and its intrinsic relation to the natural and human sciences. This seminar seeks to turn the tables of thinking by asking what are the conditions of possibility for science and technology, not only to serve the common good, but to foster creativity and diversity that is sensitive to the dynamic evolution of cultural and ecosystemic specificities. In other words, how must we rethink this problem of contemporary technique in order to emancipate it from capitalist monoculture and from the inanity of its performance principle? In 2023 presents the second iteration of this survey seminar, which started in 2023. The inspiration for the first iteration of this seminar was a presentation that Japanese Shokunin uh, and so Shokunin master craftsman Shuji Nakawaga and Takahiro Yagi at Japan House on the 2nd June of 2022, which raised questions about the innovative relation between traditional craft and high-end design and industry, throwing into relief outmoded opposition between handcrafted objects that are valued as culturally representative of specific places or regions, and industrial standardized production of objects that are devalued as tokens of globalized consumer monoculture. This survey seminar features innovative and leading thinkers and practitioners ranging from philosophy to design, from engineering to political theory and aesthetics, to develop a transversal inquiry into the conditions of possibility for a technodiversity capable of espousing and synergizing with cultural, ecosystemic, and biodiversity. The emphasis of the Greek term techne intends to open a wider philosophical angle on the object's dynamics, behaviors, and networks that mediate our relationship with the world and with others, as timely reminder of the Greek correlation between techne and governance, as well as rhetorics. What encompasses techne is not only the exchange of ideas, but also that of specialized materials and tools. This exchange is, as Levi Strauss remarked, characteristic of humanity. Isolated societies are inert societies, and only societies in contact with each other progress. In turn, it is of the utmost urgency to question the ground on which so critical a part of human inventiveness is cajoled into the capitalist performance principle and ensuing monoculture, to which technoscientific rationality is all too readily reduced. Wow. So, and we let it sink a little bit. Also, I take a sip of this.
Sure. And
because
this,
English is because English is not my third language. Uh, yeah. So I was mentioning this because it's very interesting to see to start understanding in terms of history. And I mentioned this some time ago, like to understand what is the bottleneck actually from humanities in respect to. I mean, there is this inherent and embodied odd feeling that we get, and I mean, there is this inherent feeling to feeling odd. I mean, it's not a natural thing to work or to do good electronic art work in a way. There is this
mm,
there is something odd and it's very complicated medium to work with in terms of medium meaning and so on. So I think it's interesting and I think it's important to start positioning and understanding history uh, to see where in timeline is there is a bottleneck in this linear progression, from where in somewhere it starts to this idea of technique start becoming something that is not resolved somehow, or start becoming something problematic. So, for what I understand, or maybe I guess I won't go too much in this because I don't know that much at this point. But I can say this, that's what in the second thing that I was reading, and also they were mentioning of the subjects yesterday with other words, but it's this working with technology has basically uh, that's what they mentioned in the description of the program that I read as monoculture. So working with a computer is the answer or the evolution of industrialism mixed with capitalism and neoliberalism into a tool that at the end is the outmost um, product of monoculture in terms of creating capital. So the tool is there to produce capitalism, to produce.
Right.
So that's what they mean with monoculture. Like there is this, at least from history, from academics, also from media studies, and also from, because then I think you can start seeing there too at this current moment in discussions of AI and cognition. Um, there's these two schools in a way, or two ways of thinking. One is related to media studies, and the other one is more close to cognition studies, cognitive studies. And I mean, from both places, this idea of monoculture, in terms of what a computer represents, um, it is there as a bottleneck somehow. Um,
But when you say
that
bottleneck, what
basically
does it really mean?
that nobody that in somehow like you can follow a linear progression in history, but then what in a way like it's kind of clear what is the purpose of things because also they're not coming from so many different places, the sources of information if you want, and at the point of industrialization, uh, then if there is a big shift towards conquering energy in a way. Um, so I think in the past, like the philosophers in the past will speak about um, autopoiesis as the way how like techne was being seen until Heidegger, who is the one who brings the idea of embodiment and ontology in philosophy. Until there, uh, before I think it was Aristoteles, through his scientific endeavors, there was this understanding of technique as something that is actually revealing the the nature of things through force, through an autopoiesis process. Um, is with Heidegger the and also the Industrial Revolution in the 20th century, uh, when there is this big confrontation again with what is technique, what is techne, um, and then Heidegger start complicating things and start bringing saying that now things are not actually just revealing themselves through force, but that what we are busy with is with um, a process of interrelation with energy. and in a ways, he's the one. For instance, you started seeing in philosophy. I don't know if before then, but at least from what I start seeing or knowing in these studies, is this from him you start hearing these concepts of storing, so storage, accumulation of energy, of this language that you will hear in technology, um, and it's from the point of view of energy. That's like the big in a way takeaway of the shift from force in the past to energy, production of energy in modern times. And what I was mentioning, like the bottleneck, is that I'm I'm trying, I guess, to see where is this, what is the struggle in terms of, I mean, from a philosophical point of view, or in terms of meaning, and it seems to me like in history that is at that moment of this industrial revolution that there is. So Heidegger started speaking about the body and embodiment, and to speak in these terms of technique and technological terms. Um, then, but it's not a clear resolution. It's more like an invitation to is. I think I'm using words from somebody else here, but apparently it goes in this linear way always. You have Heidegger on one side, and then you have also almost at the same time Simondon on the French side. So German side is Heidegger, then you have the French side Simondon, which is their contemporary, and I think that's I'm talking about the 70s, 60s, 70s, and then there is this guy Ziegler that I have not read yet, but apparently Ziegler is like the take, like a modern take of these two into something that is modern. But he's building on the concept of Heidegger and Simondon. But then again, back to the bottleneck, what I guess I'm saying. If I guess it's just this idea that in terms of meaning and philosophical linearity, is just at that point of the industrial revolution when you start feeling there is not a linear, there is not a consensus in a way of what techniques are. From Aristoteles, which is before modern time, before Christ, until the 60s of the 20th century, there was a linear understanding of what techne is. So it's from that moment that I started, like, it's what I will mention, I guess, as a bottleneck in terms of meaning and what is supposed to do technical endeavor for humanity.
Okay. And why are we talking about this? Because
Um,
to
yes,
the seminar thing.
yeah, because so I think I want to introduce this idea like that I said already in the past, like when I start getting more into art and sciences from a theory perspective, and then uh, I share with you this idea that it's really important to understand and to know, not only to, it's not too much, I guess, to understand, but it's to know the history of arts and the history of science, to position oneself and to situate what are we. Um, yeah, so there is art and science is a very complicated framework. So it demands that you really need to go back to the history of the fields to understand the place where we are. So now this is about why is so hard to work with the body and technology. I guess that's what I'm trying to situate, like trying to underline that it's important to understand, to see the history, because there's things that have been saying in the past in one regard on other to the body in relation to technique or technology.
Right. I'm trying to think like then what is body and technology in a
Mm.
sense, like yeah, like because you can see it from like different mm, perspectives. I think if we talk about, I mean, I don't know, like I feel from the seminar or like if people start talk about like this tech giants, it's like the body that if you refer to a body that is like sitting in front of the computer, I don't know. That's just like how I see like body and technology.
Mm.
And then I mean that is a culture, right? Because that's how we use
Yeah,
the technology or like with a smartphone or whatever, but that's like
yeah,
the body is there consuming the content. And then when we talk about body and technology in terms of our practice, it's very different. And then like I'm trying to think like how we situate ourselves or not to situate
yeah.
because they are
I mean,
completely different things.
yes, but that's, I mean, that's what I guess I was trying to say in a long
Massage.
intervention is that so I was first trying to introduce this idea that it's important to understand history of these things, but then is I guess to say that from what we do, I will speak personally. Um, I'm interested in decolonizing this monoculture, which is the fact that you sit in front of the computer to do something that at the end is capital.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then like
Um,
of course what we do is not, I mean going to back to this like referring to something, like what we do is not something completely new. I mean, is there someone who did this already, or like do we relate to something else? Like, for example, I could see like it's like a ritual. Maybe because I saw Choi Kapai's performance yesterday, that's I think about rituals, but definitely there is like
mm,
ritualistic perspective in it. I mean that, but that's the
no,
decolonizing practice of no decolonial practice, right? To see like not
yes,
referring to okay, we are consuming the content, but where do we go back to and like how they are like interconnected.
yeah, I think you're going somewhere like because I think also we can use this. I was thinking in an application in from Modena specifically, then and also because it came through the seminar yesterday at some point. Um, the it's important. I think so one element that we can add into what we have is this idea of a durational performance because we need a ritualistic aspect to it, and that won't happen in 40 minutes. It needs time for the ritual to um, it needs a ritualistic time, and a ritualistic time is not happening in 1 hour. There was somebody working with signals, by the way. It was very interesting. There was the only artist presenting at the conference, and there was, to be honest, was the only one that I thought like, okay, actually this guy is saying something interesting. What he did in new things, also he was saying like, I don't know this, I would like to know this. Was the only one who, in terms of speaking from knowledge, he was saying like, I don't know this. Like, yeah, in short, he was saying these things. He was very fluid in his presentation. Also, when I asked him, what are you going to present before, he said, I will see. So basically, base of course, because he has already presented this thing, but I guess in a longer time, he just knew that he had. So I was saying that this guy, so he adjusted, that he was very caring in that sense. He took into
Okay.
account the audience, and that's why he adjusted his presentation on the
Ah,
fly.
okay. I see.
Yeah, that's very caring. I told him like that's part of like I mean my assumption is that he has the sensibility of the artist. That's very nice. So, but I was mentioning at some point in his presentation, he's interested in working Wi-Fi signals, and then he was showing he has this structure with triangulations, and then he basically was sonifying the signal, the Wi-Fi signals, and he will go to the space, and then the sound will change because of the triangulation, and his body will block the signal. Basically, there was one person who was there was a dancer actually. She interviewed and she said like she would like to know a little bit more of yeah how to. I think basically she mentioned that she was struggling because she's a dancer working in a similar project. So she's a dancer with no technological formation, or she don't have this expertise. Um, but she's part of this project. What they're trying to do a similar thing. She's the dancing part. So I guess she was trying to get some answer of like if there is some best practices somehow of what to do in her case. Um, then after it finishes the conference, she approached me and then she was asking me like what I'm doing. Um, then I was mentioning to her that it 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 was an intervention that I did in that presentation. So when she said that, I add to the answer of the panelist that in my approach, I think that the ritual aspect, and that's something that I want us to think on that, is very important because in this idea of decolonizing knowledge that I assume through abstractions, uh, you you will see that the audience, as we spoke in the past, like so you have this contract, for instance, that happens at the beginning, right? So then the audience goes to the space. It needs to use this sense making. It will pass through this sense making process to adjust to the new space. Once it understands how it should interact with the space, it will see it, or it will, let's say, knowledge will get fixed. So it passes from embodied sense making, senses through knowledge, and it sits like now I understand how I should perform. Then the sense making process stops and you enter into autopilot where you're just watching or whatever it is demanding from you. So because what I want then is to decolonizing or destabilizing, let's say also, uh, the knowledge, it demands a ritualistic aspect. Because what I don't want is that the knowledge stays sit. I want that the knowledge transverse. I don't want
Right.
as right. Voila. So that's the take. What I'm trying to say. Like, I'm interested that the knowledge transverses, and but not that it seeds, so that it gets liquefied as much as possible.
And well, I don't know what that dancer was doing or what actually the question was. So, but then like, what are we talking about? Like to as a practice to keep the knowledge fluid. I mean, that's the idea. Like, then we need some concrete approaches, or like,
Yeah.
I mean,
I
in a
mean,
way, that's what we do.
yeah, exactly. That's what we do. So the problem is not what we do because we have an ecology of work that it works. But what we have to do is is do what we're trying to do at this moment. Is we're trying to go back in the method that we use naturally or that seeds naturally, which was one of the answers that few weeks after we start working, Daniel answered to you. If you remember, like one mail that he said is like, it's interesting what you guys do, but reflect in your
Or methodology.
methodology.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what we're trying to do,
Mm.
which is not easy because it demands a different exercise, mental exercise.
Yeah. I mean, I think we're in a phase where we have to, I mean, the proposal, maybe this is like proposal for constant, that we need to disseminate or to deliver or communicate what we do, right? I mean, we have tons of things and we don't have to like keep inventing things. I mean, we don't really invent, but
Right.
the way, I mean, the way we work with the idea of workshops, like that's why we are doing, because we want to disseminate also that is the practice of keeping the knowledge fluid and runs on on its own. You know, it's not
Yeah.
like we teach something, but we discover something with people, and that's like
Yeah.
practice it. Also, like not just like we want to show the practice, but I think the practice itself is a sandbox or petri dish or whatever that is like is really concrete yet fluid, like a test bed for people to jump in.
Yeah. But so that I think this what you're saying is like it's touching things that I was mentioning, I guess, in the from history. That if you see, for instance, this classical idea of techne, it is in there in the idea of revealing. So as you said, for instance, the practice is reveal itself. Is that we are not trying to steer the practice. It's just it's a technological thing that it comes at some point when we practice. So in that sense, reveals itself when you are in the space.
Yeah, I see. I mean, yeah, the thing is like we still need something to to make this happen. Like it can be workshops, then we have to run workshops. We can't just refer to the workshop we've done. And also like
That's-
what we could do, I think the idea of like this handbook I really like, because we what we can do with the workshop is still limited to people who can join the workshop. And then like
Yeah.
how do we approach more people? I mean, not
But then
yeah,
I
go
mean,
ahead.
I think like, but I think like just by yourself, if you really just follow through the process, I think we, in a way, I will say that we are kind of consensus this idea that what the choreography, if so, will be in a performance aspect of the practice is in terms of method is a workshop. If you have to simplify in one sentence, what is the performance about? Is a workshop. I don't know how you think. Well, what do you think about it? But I was thinking on this.
Hmm, interesting. Yeah, I'm still like trying to figure out, I mean, from the last chat, like what is it about? What's the methodology we take? Yeah, I don't know. I think what you said makes sense, but then I think I'm thinking more practical things, like how do we
Yeah,
fit into this format and still we
right.
can do it, because what we can
Yeah,
demand is probably limited. But I think it's
yeah,
also good to have limitation, because we can't be in this ideal world that we have infinite time to give workshop with infinite amount of people. So we need to condense, make it concise.
yeah.
And I think I said as a joke at the end that we do something with the participants, like the workshop, and train AI, and AI will replace them in the next shows,
Mhm.
which was a joke, but I think it had something, like not framing in that sense, but something like that would. I think there's something like that makes sense,
It, it,
because
I will. I mean, I will agree. I don't know if we are in the same We're talking about the same, but this is a practical thing, no? Like, but perhaps like through artificial intelligence, what we and also in terms of linearity of I will say then following up, so there is not just yeah, that you could somehow use gather data from the performances to build what you will call in model systems, agents. So the audience is an agent. You and me are agents. Like in our words, in our lexicon, we call like grouping and grouping elements. We call these elements. But in modeling systems, it's an agent, something that has agency or not.
Okay.
So then, in terms of then, so we do a let's say a performance or a workshop where some participants, some human agents are there, and based on that, we gather data, behavioral data, interaction data, different data that can be used through artificial intelligence. And then from there, we can start modeling agents that can be used in a next step as a reference, as a new entity that is maybe not human, but it has this human data, and also
Yeah.
could be as a critique.
What I this it reminds me of the show Yesterday from Ka-Fi. So basically, I saw this before, like 2 years ago, and because you're talking about agent, and it reminds me like, so there was this dialogue with the studio in Singapore. So there's like a video projection that's like streaming from the studio in Singapore, and there's a band there which plays music later with a dancer in real life at the theater. But then like this video, I've seen it before, and there's like subtitle and all these things. So it's clearly like fake that like Ka-Fi is talking to them and makes it look like, it's like a live streaming, but it's actually not. And there's a moment where the stream, starts like this rotating pizza thingy, like with the loading um animation. So basically the video stops and there's like a buffering moment happens, but it's like all scripted or
This
fake.
is the super smart. That's super
Yeah,
smart.
yeah, yeah.
Super smart. Like that was one of the critics actually, like in the presentation of the artist actually. His main critique, and that was a point that we actually kind of like argue in before. So when we met at the introductions, I guess, is that he made this clear point where he says that science is not objective because I was trying to put some, yeah, saying that the artist, it speaks from the experience, but science has this role of being objective but generalized in a way. And then he was really, he get really engaged to me, like, no. And we were in this table with more people. So, but then his point in the presentation was this, what you're saying basically, the science is a stage. So when you do these like presentations and they introduce a new, you're doing a research and it's about Wi-Fi or whatever, and the new gadget to come out. When you do the presentations for the stakeholders, you is he was saying the science is performative. It really stages how it should work. So you're saying that it will work in any conditions, but it's not true because then he was saying that you know that you have to walk in this direction. If you twist the body, you know that it will block the signal. So the scientists know this. His point was that the scientists don't care, so they know what are the limitations of the technology. They're of course like they won't speak about the downsides of it in the presentation. They just do what motion bank do. That is basically a proof of concept, but it's up to the stakeholders to do something with it. But that is not our responsibility. That's what science does. Like that's what I mean. That was his point, and that was a critique on that. That's up to the developers, or that's not part. As a researcher, like so, as a scientist, you prove a point. You know, you prove that you know it's working, and it's up to if so. If you want more from there, it's up to you what you want to do with it.
Yeah, interesting. I mean, definitely like, for example, if you want to publish a paper on Nature or whatever, then you need to, you have to have certain style, which is like staged. It's not like
That's
you did
yeah.
this
That's the his
experiment and
point.
this happened, but like it's
Yeah.
it's something that, and then this becomes like a problem with academia that, how many papers you publish. It start to
Exactly.
depends on this technique also.
It's stages. Yeah, it's just you said that's the word that he was using. It's a stage. Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, but then like, why I
But
was
so
like,
wait, so like so I think that we should. This is something that we can use for what we're trying to do, especially with artificial intelligence part. I think this is definitely something that, as a critique, we can do something with it. Um, I don't know. I was just thinking like because this is the reality, and if you don't have to think or to know too much to know that that's happening.
right,
So I think it's important. I mean, is as artists and then to basically that's. I mean, if we have the stage, if we have the resources, like in Modena, for instance, like to somehow do a critique on
okay, like critique in what sense?
that. I don't know. That I guess that's up to us to see, but to I don't know. I mean, that's something that I thought like was something in terms of like the AI and because we have to use the technology. So to like, okay, we can stage some technology. So and then that is partly working, but then we stage it, but then you can use then dramaturgy to, and that will be decolonizing. Because how to say this, stay with me with abstraction. So hold that thought. Like I think at some point I told you that there was this person, Mohammed. He's a dancer from Sidi Larbi, and he always has been taking this quote of being the foreigner in dance companies and so on. That's why he got many projects and things.
Yeah, I
And the
remember
last
about
piece that he, yeah, so his last piece he made was with his mother, because, and he's basically doing just this. It was bringing the conversation. "Ah, okay, so I'm the immigrant, and so this is the performance. Is this about? This is my mom, and we are walking in the desert now." So he plays with this within something that still is appealing artistically, but the concept is clear. Is that is on his terms bringing this thing that he's not comfortable with. So I'm relating these to this. I mean, to think about it. To
yeah,
somehow,
yeah,
then you have then the power to stage. Then okay, what is that you're gonna stage? And then use dramaturgy
mm,
to show what you want to show.
right, yeah,
So I don't think that we have to then hide. Like I mean,
no,
like in a way, or like present magic coach Kafai does, but just play with this in-betweenness of what is real and what is not.
yeah, no, but like what's interesting in Tough Fight's performance is like, so the reason why I said this video streaming was like, it's like Asian in a way that it's not, I mean, it's kind of fake, but it's also like, it's a stage anyways, and it's up to him, do it live or not, whatever. That's not the point. And that creates that what you said, like with the in betweenness, or like even if it's if people everyone knows that it's fake, that's already something adding to the performance. But still, at one point in the show, the dancer goes up on the stage without the motion capture suit, dances, and then go back to the side of the stage where people can see. And then Kafai starts to strap this motion capture sensors on him. And then the dancer goes back on the stage. But, like you see that this process happening. And then you see the avatar moving with the motion capture after, this operation. And that's real, right? It's probably he has some kind of backup plans, but like the thing is, like, he's not
Probably.
doing, yeah, he's not doing completely fake. That's the interesting part. That for also, like, I haven't seen this piece, but he did this brutal performance where he basically say that somehow he studied one of Bruto founders, Tatsumi Hijikata's movement, and recorded muscle stimulation. So the the dancers goes on the stage with the electric muscle stimulation on the body, and then basically the dancer moves with the muscle data from Hijikata, which is, it's kind of questionable. I mean, he obviously didn't record it from the Buto dancer, but it's kind of like, speculated in a way. But also, what is happening on the stage is real with the stimulation with this medical device, and that's like interesting part of his performance.
Yeah.
That's it has this threshold. I think he has some kind of quality control in his. I mean, like he has like high standard of this. What has to be, what can be scripted or fake, but what has to be done like properly.
But now that you're saying, actually, I think, but like something that I can say is, Kafai has this experience as directing. That's why what you were saying, like probably he will have a plan, and he used to work in this big production, so it needs to be
Yeah, and he's a
clear.
designer.
Yeah, exactly. So I was thinking actually that perhaps like that could be that we could consider him actually as mentor. With a That would be interesting. I have been since I met him and we talked. I said to him also when we talked, that he was passing through process, that I would be interested in doing something with him.
And he was a fellow of this moving digits that Nuno was running.
Yeah. So who knows? Like probably also he might apply for that. But how just that they don't? He's not applying for Budapest.
Well, I should have asked you yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, even if we just put his name, he wouldn't say no. Well, I don't know. It depends. I
No.
think.
No, and I think he will be. I think he will be interested.
Yeah.
Because I mean, he has this expertise, and we have other experts. And so in terms of the staging, like what you said, you demand some magic. There is some choreography, there is a dramaturgy that you need, and that I think is experience acquired. Yes, experience acquired. Yeah, he has that. I don't have it.
Yeah. I also like this is like more like personal thing, but when I think about the show with technology, I think there's always have to be like something like a twist. I mean, he does it well with the technology. And I was thinking about this yesterday because I have to show something tomorrow, and what's going to be the twist I want to add, because I will be like just scrolling web pages that I've been making, but there has to be
That
something
tomorrow.
that, yeah, that's a fact, and there has to be something that people think like, what the hell, at one point, like, because if it's just browsing something, then it's a browser. It's like also like tricking with the sense making, because then people have this understanding that, okay, this is happening in the browser.
Right.
That's whatever web page I made, that I just go screw. And then I think what I would do, I guess no one's watching this, so I say it, but I will, instead of like just projecting the desktop, I think I will use OBS to capture my screen and project it to the projector. And because I know that it's going to be like 10 minutes, I prepare like 10-minute video that overlays on top, but that's transparent at first, and then start showing something. It's actually like my body like walking around. It will be overlaid from like last 3 minutes or something. But
Interesting. But I mean, I like that because I remember I tried at some point in the practice with the recording of the camera. At some point, I was super interested in having many cameras, especially when I was in
yeah,
class.
you're obsessed.
Putting different cameras, and at some point, it was almost by a mistake that I record something and was played, and because it was recorded in the same frame time. It really was confusing for me, even like, wait, am I doing that right now? So the tempo spatial quality of what is happening. So the time space blurs, and that's a glitch. That's a glitch in the head.
Yeah. The other thing I wanted to do, probably I won't, is to record a rehearsal and play back as full screen. So at first I'm not actually doing anything, and then at one point you start to see that QuickTime player, and then I just minimize it and start doing something else. But actually, that's something I've seen before from a friend of mine. So
But
I mean,
yeah, all
it's
good.
fun, but it's fun, but I think I don't have patience to like fake doing something for like a couple of minutes at first. And this actually it was a video, because if you move the cursor, then you see the playback control. So you have to keep still, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, it depends. Depends how much. I mean, how it cannot be perfect. That's the problem always with like playing with
True.
a high definition.
Yeah.
That then anything. So yeah. All right. But maybe we should close here.
Yes.
And so let's. I don't know how it's. So you tomorrow you're in pack, right? So maybe
Exactly.
just close the recording here, and then we just go backstage.
Okay. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.